Yeah, no, I'm just giving it a breather. I mean, if you think about it, we're really not talking to anybody yet.
It's true. I mean, we're talking to YouTube eventually,
and the blog,
right? And
where
the blog,
people download things, and you
Right.
know how many people do that, so it's a non-zero number.
and eventually to iTunes,
Eventually to iTunes.
unless I edit all this out later, in which case you'd never know.
True, but you're not that kind of guy.
I sometimes am.
Yeah. All the mysteries of the things that you may not get to hear us talk about in the next 2 hours. Well, I'd like to welcome everybody officially to the Magic Box. For those of you that don't remember, from time to time we do like to talk about Cube. Isn't that right, Eck?
Yeah. Coincidentally, when sets come out, we make podcasts. It's a weird, weird rhythm we've gotten into.
I want to blame the weather. I'm not really sure. No, I want to blame Obama because it's fashionable.
I'm just gonna blame you.
Oh wow!
I mean, you did move away from where we record this, so
the internet exists in certain places,
right.
And I left from one.
You left the internet.
It's true.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely my fault because again, for those of you, the 5 of you that remember, we used to do this every week because we used to have a Cube League that we had every week. We'd go to it. We'd usually decompressed with a nice burrito and a podcast afterwards. Nowadays, times they have it changed. Some of us play Standard every week.
It is weird.
Yeah,
I haven't done this in a long time.
It is weird to think about. I F&M from time to time, but it's always draft, which also weird. It's weird. It's like not Different Strokes. What's the one with Balky? What's that one?
I don't know.
Perfect Strangers,
maybe.
And here we are back together, and it's like we kind of speak English.
So I have a question about your F&Ms. Are there a lot of very young children at your F&Ms?
No, So here's what I do have. I have a group of 4 teenagers who dress in bear onesies.
Okay.
That's the weirdest shit that happens in my F&M.
Okay. I think so. At our local game store, Ruben, the owner, does a thing where you get to play an F&M for free if you're
like
under 12 or something.
Well, like you get one free if you're under 16, I thought, and then you're in-fee free if you're like under 12, right?
I mean, I assume so because I played Standard against like a fair number of like 8-year-olds, like literal 8-year-olds, and I mean, obviously, more people playing Magic, the better. Start them young, whatever. The grasp on rules is a little rough.
Yeah,
I mean, it's understandable.
You are now the Little League coach of your magical experience.
And it's not worth, part of me is like, I should really try and like...
You're peeking there, buddy.
Yeah. Part of me is like, I should really try and like help them like learn. But the other part's like, I don't want to like rules lawyer an 8-year-old. Like, my round 1 opponent,
let's call him Jimmy.
Last night, unsleeved.
Okay.
Had 3 decks on him and asked if he could switch out which one he was playing.
That is a sweet one. That should be a 4-bet.
I never saw him shuffle once, and I'm pretty sure he started each game with like 10 to 12 cards in his hand.
Okay.
And it's just like, it's not worth...
if it was ever in question that we didn't love Magic the Gathering, this is proof. Because
I go back every week.
Yeah, that is...
To lay the beat down on these children.
This is your Friday night. I personally, as much as I love kids, and I'm going to start this with a lie. I tolerate a lot of children that are related to me, and I love the ones that are. I think that there's so much teaching I can do in a Magic environment, and if it's not my Friday night, I'm more open to doing more of it. It seems
if I had the choice, I would obviously take a more rigorous F&M environment.
Yeah.
More serious.
Insert Rocky montage here.
The rest of it's fine, and it's close. I'm not going to argue. It's
no,
just
you
funny.
guys...
Like every once in a while, it's like every few weeks, it's just like, oh nope, you're just literally babysitting. Like.
Now I remember back in the day, we had some interesting ones where kids would show up with like unsleeved 80 card decks, and then like on turn 3 they'd play a card that wasn't legal in Standard.
Right,
and you're kind of like, do I say something?
Right, because you don't want to just like be a jerk to this like tiny child and ruin his love of the game before it ever gets off the ground.
Right, but you kind of have to do a duty because if you don't say something, their next opponent may take it a little harsher than what you're trying to do for them.
Someone with a little less tact might be like, "What the fuck, kid? Like, baby,
yeah.
And it's like,
the card's not illegal. Get out of here.
Yeah, and like that's not helping anything.
Yeah. So yeah,
and it's funny because like every once in a while, like last night. The parents showed back up. He's like, he just dropped the kids off bail. Came back. He's like, oh, you played little Jimmy, whatever, in round 1. And I was like, oh, yeah. He's like, how'd he do? I'm like, it was a little rough. You know, I think he's having fun. He doesn't have the best grasp on like the rules. You know, he probably work with him or whatever. He's like, well, he's 10, so whatever. And it's like,
Interesting.
well, okay.
So you are very much ready to be a Little League coach, and you are very much their babysitter, which they are very gracious to not pay at all.
Right.
Like, did Jimmy act up at all? Was he okay? Did he sit in the chair? At
He's
least
not banned from the store, is he? We can still keep dropping him off and going to movies or whatever.
We can have wine and sushi for 3 hours while you watch our kid for a while.
Yeah, for free.
Right. Yeah. It's a good thing that store does so much other good stuff, and that we love that store. Otherwise,
no, I love the store, and I think it's a great policy. You know, at least at like a fostering a community level and everything else like that. It's just like every once in a while you get some less than valuable match in testing information.
Right. Yeah. It's been a long time since I've been in a FNM that I can consider to be rigorous testing for a format of my choice.
I mean, most of the other people are at the very least like, if not tier 1 decks, like competently put together. It's not just like oddball. There's no Phyrexian Tyrannies.
It's a 1%er. So in a room, how many you got? Like 24 for FNM?
Somewhere in there, like 20-ish. It
So
goes up or down because they also run draft and commander and legacy.
Does the Legacy FNM fire?
Yeah, sometimes they start earlier, and they usually have like 6.
So
to
the
8.
standard's like the holdover, where it's like, oh, play Legacy, only 3 people
It's
showed
like
up.
it's like legacy starts at 6, commander and draft start at 6:30, and standard starts at 7.
Yeah, these last couple of weeks, I definitely could have come. Well, not the last couple. Recently, I could have come down. But I would have wanted to keep.
Right.
But that is why
They could sanction that.
I know that is why we are here today. You probably have already enjoyed your Dragons of Tarkir pre-release.
How'd you do, by the way?
Oh my god, the old 2-0 into 0-3.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Prizes? No.
Exactly. That is the first time I have failed a prize at a pre-release.
We were gonna punch those booster packs out of you too. So
this decade.
Yeah.
And then possibly since like.
Were you able to successfully bowl for promos?
Yeah, I did. Casey really wanted this place at the Dragon Fodders,
Okay.
and that is the second tier of the kind of like.
Right.
It's not really bowling; it's more like Crossfire for
Yeah,
which is way better.
If it was actual Crossfire, that'd be sweet.
Oh my god, we wouldn't play Magic.
We'd just be playing Crossfire.
So like you get Evolving Wilds if you have a hand and can use it.
Right. I thought it was funny. We were kind of joking about that. Like, Wizards has made these great strides recently in terms of storyline of being very inclusive, and then it's like Vin made the comments like, man, that pre-release like promotional thing is so ableist. Like, what if I don't have hands or something? What if I can't throw the dice? So exclusionary.
Was not an issue, thankfully. No, it was fine. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I can't complain. I don't know. This pre-release was really kind of put a sour taste in my mouth. I'm always really looking for sealed deck, and I know they don't do that for players because they want it to be more of a learning process and really guide people to deck building. But I really feel like it was like 5 different theme decks.
Right. Like I mean, I pretty much stopped going to pre-releases when it was all like seeded boosters and this and the gimmicky.
If we were there right now playing 2HG, we would be having fun. I guarantee. It's such sweet value. It's so hard not to do it.
We have important pressing matters.
It's true. It's true. For the Magic Origins pre-release, we should do that.
I'll think about it.
We're gonna go to LA.
What? Why?
Because the Dodgers are in town and Ben wants to go.
Okay. I'm not gonna do that.
Oh. Ben and I went last year. It was a ton of fun.
When is it?
Like July.
Isn't it like my birthday?
Oh, it's before your birthday. It's like 2 or 3 weeks before.
Because I was planning on going to Vegas, probably for my birthday.
God damn it. You and your WrestleMania preventing you from going to GP Vegas, and then GP Vegas preventing me from going to Vegas with you later.
I know.
Terrible.
We'll talk about that later. We'll work out a road tour.
I'll allow you to go to Vegas without us if you go to LA with us for a weekend.
So possessive. All right.
Meanwhile, Magic the Gathering.
Back in the thing that we were supposed to be talking about.
Cube the thing inning.
So we have a couple packs. So let's bust these out. We'll start with this one. So we open a booster. We've got following 15 cards. Which one are you taking and why? Hypnotic Siren, Lifebane Zombie, Frantic Search, Glenelendra Archmage, Gravecrawler, Carrion Feeder, Bloodbraid Elf, Reanimate, Mindslaver, Parallax Wave, Kitchen Finks, Bazaar of Baghdad, Geist of St. Traft, Badlands, Wildfire.
Feels like a persist card.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's either a blue one or a green one. I feel like Glenn, Lendra, Miraiki, but I think I'm actually just gonna go with Kitchen Finks.
I mean, Kitchen Finks obviously locks you into less. It's a green card, it's a white card, it's a green-white card. You don't really commit to a lot.
I mean, single blue on Archmage isn't exactly like super committal.
That's true. There's certainly a lot of interesting archetype cards. If there's a deck you're interested in playing, this pack has the card for you.
I mean, I guess you could take Reanimate with the intent to wheel Bazaar.
You could take Wildfire, you could take Bazaar, you could take Reanimate. You know, this is actually a very good Reanimator.
Yeah,
pack.
taking Reanimate here with the intent. I mean, like Frantic Search wheeling is obviously like less likely, but
you're gonna get either Bazaar back, you could get Frantic Search back, you could get even the Badlands potentially back.
Maybe I've just drafted Reanimator too many times recently that I'm kind of like my eyes have just glazed over to that stuff.
Right.
I might be missing a sweet opportunity here, but I'm sticking with the Kitchen Finks.
I think I'm taking Reanimate. I think this is a good position
Yeah.
to take the Reanimate. I think you're going to get something good back in this pack.
I don't fault you. I don't fault you.
And Reanimate's sweet.
Yeah, rebuying your Kitchen Finks for a third and fourth time with it could be sweet later.
That's a deep one.
It is. I
like how that play also gains you eventually one life.
Yeah, but so many blocks gains you like unbountiful amounts.
Unbountiful amounts, so not a lot?
Yeah.
That's what works me.
Okay.
I also like the Wildfire, but there's not really a good wheel. And that's just a personal preference. I just enjoy the Wildfire.
Taking Wildfire out of a pack that also has Glenelendra Archmage, it's just rather
a poor choice.
Rather suspect.
Yeah.
Let's spin the wheel again.
All right. Let's see. I'm not even going to look. We're going to start the job.
I like it.
So we've got another pack. Kira, Great Glass Spinner, Shriekmaw, Sandstep Citadel, Thragtusk, Mystic Gate, Packrat, Mortarpod, Baneslayer Angel, Craterhoof Behemoth, Mountain Valley, Brimaz King of Oreskos, Yawgmoth's Bargain, Siege Gang Commander, Flametongue Kavu, Mizumi Grave Robber.
Wow, this is a very
I can't talk. B, we're very lucky that there's no power in these.
Yeah, this is really a nice and right below standards in terms of cube pack quality here. So there's only one blue card, so that's always tempting. There is some sweet life gain mid-range guys that are hard to ignore in the terms of Thragtusk and Baneslayer Angel.
I mean, Packrat is awesome.
Packrat, wheel that bargain combo.
I mean, Packrat, wheel that Shriekmaw. I like Brimaz. Brimaz is super good. I know you like Flametongue Kavu a lot.
Yeah, I'm not snapping off a Kavu before a Shriekmaw in this scenario.
No, that seems like a pretty poor choice.
I think, I'm really just going for Baneslayer Angel because it's that perfect middle ground where it's like I could draft a control deck with that being the top end. I could draft an aggro deck with that being the top end. I could draft a blue control deck with that being the middle ground.
Being the only card that the only the win con.
Yeah,
you can get that Mystic Gate back potentially.
Filter lands are really effing good though. It's hard to imagine that'll come back. So I'm going with Baneslayer Angel definitively here.
This is a hard one for me. It's between Thragtusk, Packrat, and Brimaz, I think.
Thragtusk, Packrat, Brimaz. Okay, well those are definitely two forked paths and a Thragtusk.
Right. Thragtusk feels like the safe pick of this will just go in whatever. It's always good.
First picking a Packrat overall in cube is not a murderable offense, but it is questionable. I mean, you're going down.
You gotta have you gotta commit.
It's an interesting road.
Brimaz is so good though.
Taking a Brimaz and then passing a Baneslayer Angel, not good though.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Brimaz just, I don't know, I really like Brimaz. I think I'm just taking Thragtusk.
Okay, well,
Thragtusk is just, it's hard to say no, and it fits in so many decks.
Yeah, it's similar to Baneslayer Angel, where it's
even if you're not getting cute with it,
it's a hot 5-drop that's going to get you. It's going to do some catch up if you need catching up. It's going to help push you ahead if you need to push ahead from parity.
And if you ever get to get cute with it,
sure,
stupid Thragtusk tricks.
Let's try drafting a few picks. Oh, that's a lot of talking. I don't like that idea. You gotta like say a bunch of shit. So here's what we'll do. We'll just.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh. I was like, who's JPEG?
Johnny.
We could pick a few cards that were just seen visually, and then auditorily, we could just fill people in. Because I don't want them to go like, here's 15 cards, here's 14 cards, here's 13 cards, etc., etc. Because we did not have set up scenarios like we have in the past. We're way more run and gun offense these days.
Yeah, we're the no huddle. All right,
so let's do a new pack.
Okay.
Let's just hush in secret, see if we can determine what we would take overall first. Scroll down. Oh my god, so many non-basics.
What the hell?
Scroll back up. Alright, so do you want to take a non-basic?
No.
Okay, what do you want to take?
I kind of want to take Phantasmal Image.
Alright, that's fine. Let's take Phantasmal Image, whatever.
Okay, so
just take Phantasmal Image and we'll keep going.
Okay, you realize the audio people have no idea what's going on.
That's the point. That was what you were texting. I was explaining to him that that's what's going on. So now we're gonna do this a couple more times. Alright, seems hard not to take Grave Titan, but let's go a little lower. Just take him with Grave Titan.
Yeah.
Alright.
Combo.
Here I like Archmage. What else we got? Or Big Grizzy.
Big old Grizzy.
What's your input here?
Well, if we go Big Grizzy, now we're on like a reanimator plan.
Yeah, and if we go into the Archmage, we're just like on a fucking sweet blue black
on like a good
plan.
deck plan.
It was like nothing finer than Phantasmal Image and Glenlund or Archmage.
That's certainly true. YOLO.
All right, we YOLO the Gristlebrand. One more pick, and then we'll talk to the people listening.
Okay.
I think it's Abyss or Spike. How different would life have been if we just take a? Oh, I'd definitely take Spike. We took the other card.
Yeah.
All right. So, as you may or may not have heard there, we have Phantasmal Image, Grave Titan, Gristlebrand, and the Abyss in our current card pool. We are past a saucy one, including Muldrifter, Spear of Heliod, Man o' War, Strategic Planning, Juzam Jin, Restoration Angel, Graven Karens, Geist Honored Monk, Detention Sphere, Flesh Carver, and Nantuko Shade. So it's either Muldrifter or Strategic Planning, I feel like. Although, again, Man o' War, not bad. I mean, we snapped off the Gristlebrand, which means it's got to be Planning or Muldrifter, right?
I think it has to. I think it has to be.
And since we have the Abyss, which is a really quality like control plan, if we aren't reanimating properly, I'd probably just want Strategic Planning so that I can get I can get a Stuka.
I think you have to take Strategic Planning here. I think that if you're on the reanimation plan, which we're clearly shooting for, it's obviously very good. If we're on the regular plan, or however you want to
blue black control generally,
it'll still work.
Yeah, either way, I'm happy with what's going on. I'd say take that Planning. Actually, we don't need to click it through. Yeah. All right, are we happy with some talk about some cards? We should move on to the big enchilada here.
I think that's a good idea.
It is Dragons of Tarkir pre-release weekend, and we have much to talk about in the set of Dragons of Tarkir. Now, I wasn't so thrilled with Favorite Forge for Cube. It wasn't super exciting, but this set I feel like has a lot more maybes.
Yeah, it's got a lot of power. I feel like this set has a lot of powerful cards.
Okay.
I didn't really feel that way too much about Favorite Forge. Favorite Forge was kind of more misses than hits. But there are a lot of cards that seem very, and on balance, there are a lot of expensive cards in this set. Dragons,
casting cost wise.
Yeah, obviously dragons being the theme, it's going to be pricey. So that kind of limits how much you can really get away with.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, the Leafs game is hardly important there on the playoffs. Anyway, so, starting from the top, starting in white, and conveniently starting with a card that is worth actually talking about, Anafenza, Kin Tree Spirit.
Yeah. I think that...
We're talking about Anafenza, Kin Tree Spirit.
Yeah. I think that you know, it's 2/2 for 2. That certainly is a thing.
So here's the thing about white recently, and again, if you've been playing the MTGO cube, you've seen this a lot. It and red are definitely token interested, and for our cube and for most cubes, white is kind of the creature token color, and I feel that's coming more into blossom here more recently. With that on the table for the color, a card like Anafenza is a lot less exciting than it would have been 3-4 years ago when there were a lot more pump knights, double white knights, cards that interact blossom here more recently. Because of that, with that,
sorry,
that was scary. We almost ended up in an audio loop.
You can get very cute with it. The obvious one is Kitchen Finks.
Sure.
You know, with a sack loop,
Yeah,
because you just bolster the Kitchen Finks over and over again, so it's a cute little infinite. Obviously, you have to have. Well, I guess it comes back with a toughness of 1, so it's going to always have the leaves, so that'll work. Does the world really need more 2/2s for 2 with no evasion or protection?
No, and the point of this is it's supposed to function more as like an enchantment that can attack.
I look at it more as an enchantment that is easily partnered.
Okay, that is often true of things with legs that we talk about. Again, I think it's a fine Magic card. I think a lot of people will put it in their cubes thinking it's amazing, and slowly over time they will realize it is not amazing.
I think it's certainly more interesting and more kind of built around me than, say, Silver Knight. Whether or not it's more actual, it has wider usage, I suppose, is a positive for it.
Well, right.
A lot of the Silver Knight and Black or White Knight and all that stuff, they're only good in certain spots, and this is just going to be generally a good one. So I can totally see the value of it there. I might not want it over, say, like Leon and Sky Hunter. That's the 2/2 flyer.
Just a generic 2/2 flyer.
I think the flying is really good.
I mean, you could straight up compare it to our list and see where our 2-drops are, because again, I don't see her being strictly superior to any of the current white 2-drops we're running. Again, I don't want to just start going off the top of my head. I mean, it's more mana effective than like an 8.5 tails in terms of trying to prevent issues. Its stream not been up for a while?
I fixed it. Yeah. I was recording to my hard drive instead of streaming by accident.
Interesting.
So I'll mesh the videos on YouTube later.
No problem. So yeah,
the audio is fine.
If you pull up our list, if you would.
Sure.
Visual spoiler. That's the fastest way to do this. To the right, to the right, to the there.
Oh.
And then scroll down to our 2-drops in white. It's like a quarter paladin, not double white. Containment priest, obviously important for what it is.
Our only 2 are
Precinct Captain and Leonin Relic Warder. So if you had to compare, I do think that Precinct Captain can be kind of an analog to Anafenza, where it's like, what would I rather have? The ability to bolster, or would I rather make more guys?
I think the way white is structured, I would rather make more guys.
Agreed.
Crusade effects, you're looking to go wide.
Exactly.
Now the other question is, would you rather have Leonin Relic Warder or Anafenza?
I would rather have a faux disenchant on a guy.
Okay.
Well. I think those are important.
I think that the only problem I have with Leonin Relic Warder is, like you described as a faux disenchant, it's too fragile to really rely on as a disenchant. I look at it more as like a weird tempo play, where you steal away their Grim Monolith or something for a little while, and then they're eventually going to kill it. But whatever. You cost them a couple turns with it. It's not a good answer, in that.
Obviously, it's not a permanent answer, but be able to clear out whatever it is in order to tempo, keep playing guys, win the game. I think it's key. So, those are the only things we're really matching up against for us personally, and I don't see Anafenza usurping either of those cards.
It's certainly one to keep on the. I would say the bench, the backup cube, the binder, of the maybes. Because if there's a more +1/+1 counter element, there's more persist guys, or there's more whatever. All of a sudden now the bolster becomes more relevant. So okay, maybe now you can get on it. Arash foremost
I don't feel a need to talk about a card that only talks
about warriors.
Talks about warriors.
I mean, it reminds me kind of like
we want it to be Silverblade Paladin,
right,
but it's not.
It's close, but no cigar. Exactly. If you have a lot of warriors, maybe
right. In Cons Limited, or I guess you should call it
if your cube,
Dragons.
If your cube happens to have a fair amount of warriors in it, or you care about that mechanic, then you can think about it. But otherwise,
Dragon Hunter is a warrior, however.
Yeah, and Dragon Hunter is also a card.
Dragon Hunter.
The protection from dragons on Baneslayer Angel is a lot more relevant than most people assume.
Ooh, that is true. This guy. Again, the second line of game text is not super relevant. I mean, hey, it's going to come up a non-zero number of times. That's great. But the fact this guy can attack through dragons, effectively having a night color protection style element to him,
dragon walking,
makes this well played. Makes this particular Savannah Lions slightly better. I mean, like the artwork, obviously, like 2 1s for 1.
The era of proper Savannah Lions is quickly coming to a close because they keep just printing more with upside.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on this, which is weird because I'm talking into a microphone.
I'm literally recording my voice to be sent on the internet. Don't quote me.
This will be, I think, the last time Savannah Lions will be saved from getting cut when another 2 1 for 1 comes in.
I don't think any of the vanilla guys,
like Elite Vanguard.
Yeah. They're not making it till the end of the year.
Ooh, all right.
And I don't think it's very likely that Isamaru is going to go down soon too.
Okay, interesting.
I think that.
So you're saying that in this calendar year we're going to see at least 2 more like 2-power guys.
Well, what's Dragon Hunter coming in for? Because right now we've got actual Savannah Lions and Elite Vanguard.
Well, I'm cutting the
Elite Vanguard.
No, the 2-drop. The War Priest.
War Priest is in. Yeah. Okay. Well, I just mean if we're not gonna adjust the levels.
So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 now. Yeah. 6 2-power 1 white 1-drops.
Yeah. I think they're gonna at least print. We got 1 more. We're probably gonna get. I mean, Savannah Lions and Elite Vanguard are not making it out of the year. Okay. Isamaru is.
I would be surprised if
they're threatening.
I'd be surprised if they printed 3 more variations by the end of the calendar year. But the real question here is, and this has come up in the past, is especially with like someone like Usman from the 3rd Power. Check out the 3rd Power if you guys haven't listened to that cast. There's no upper limit. Oh, you would never have too many 2-power guys for 1.
You absolutely can.
Yeah, there's only so many 1 casting cost guys you mean cube, and you're not cutting
unless you're playing.
You're not cutting Student of Warfare.
Unless you're playing 1-drop cube.
Sure. And I also really like Gideon's Lawkeeper.
You do like that card.
I love that card.
What's going on here? What do we got? Another Blade of the 6th Pride. If that should jam.
Why aren't you playing a Quarter Paladin, etc., etc.? Daring Skyjack would be the number 2 pick there.
Right. So
crouching human hidden dragons player. Yeah, we've got. You know what's really surprising about this? The first card in the Megamorph cycle here. You can't reprisal your own guys.
That is true.
I mean, we don't play.
Why would you? But I mean, why would you do that?
We don't play Abyssal Persecutor. Maybe it's not as important as it could be.
Okay.
But it's just I don't know. I don't like that we live in this day and age of Magic where it's like
safety scissors, rounded edges, padded walls.
You've put it very eloquently here. So you're looking at a 2/1 lifelinker for 2 that also happens to be a warrior. It also happens to be a human if you happen to play Champion of the Parish. So upside on playing it
relevant creature
as
types.
A 2-drop maybe.
Relevant creature types, not the worst body. 2/1 lifelink. Okay, whatever. That's close enough. Enough for government work.
Par for the course as it is these days.
The Megamorph aspect of it, very powerful.
Sure.
Slow, but powerful. I like the fact that it gives White the ability to still be aggressive while getting to play removal.
I like this guy in the regards that he shouldn't really ever be a dead card.
Right.
So if your
That's the nice thing about this whole cycle. And we'll talk.
And this one seems like it's the most likely to be a dead card. Because you're like, if your opponent doesn't have a guy that big, you're
right.
Like,
you're just playing against a beatdown deck that's like, I don't got nothing.
Well, then you're trading and gaining life for something.
Exactly.
So it's doing more on the front side of this card than a lot of the other ones are doing on the front side.
Yeah, we'll talk about all of these in time. But I like this guy. I don't know if they're all going to make the cut, but they're all good. They're at least worth considering and looking
Yeah,
at the queue.
I think we both like this card a lot more than other people like this card
Mhm.
for the reasons we just covered here. I don't think it's really ever that dead of a draw.
No.
Unlike, I mean, it's obviously
Like, what's the worst that can happen? You give it 2-1 lifelinker. Okay.
I think it's a lot better than the black one. The black one is pretty good.
What's the other worst that happen? You play it face down, your opponent freaks out and doesn't know what it is, and spends removal on it. Like,
Right. It's a not exalted angel,
right.
for wherever that's.
It could be anything. It can be a boat. Moving on. Myth Realized is a card that it's funny. I don't think this card is very good,
I also don't think this card is.
but I see a ton of people talking about it.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of cards like Hoofprints of the Stang,
What's the Luminarch Ascension?
Luminarch Ascension. This one's probably a little bit. Well, it's hard to say if this is even better than Luminarch Ascension.
The problem is, it was a lot harder. Luminarch Ascension was a lot harder to get going, but it was also impossible to stop.
That's true.
This is very easy to stop.
That's
It
also
just-
true.
Uh,
So in that same vein of enchantments that initially do nothing, but eventually,
will win you the game
I
if
guess,
left unchecked.
I think the interesting thing is of the three cards we just named, I think that this one is still Myth Realized is still the worst. Like Hoofprints of the Stag can pump out infinite 4/4s as well. Unlike Luminarch, it's like a Luminarch Ascension and Hoofprints of the Stag are just different modal effects of getting to make infinite 4/4s. Where this guy is make an infinitely
He does affect the game faster,
potentially.
which is a plus for him. I mean, even if you just like cast a couple of like ponders or whatever,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden now you have like a 3/3 blocker or whatever.
Sure.
It's not like terrible.
I mean, I think that this card definitely could have been printed without the 3 mana, increase its size, and it would still be talked about as being reasonable.
Right.
The fact that it has a good mana sink in it actually makes us talk about it.
I mean, I think this card, what it needs is either some form of creature upside, right? It needs like lifelink or flying or a protection from something, or
I would have accepted vigilance,
vigilance,
even
first
reach.
strike,
Vigilance
some-
reach.
like some not make it not vanilla and not die to absolutely everything.
Or just get. I'm saying is it gets blocked all day by.
Right, and that's what I mean. Like, if you're gonna have it die to everything, at least make it so it's harder to block. Give it trample, something. Not a very white ability, I know, but
Conversely, the Ojutai exemplars could
Right.
potentially be doing that. Now, prowess does not exist in the world of dragons, but there are still plenty of things that happen when you cast non-creature spells.
that art is really cool.
I enjoy it.
Um,
My jury is, I want to say, still out on this card.
I want to see what that card looks like in foil. I imagine the ribbon is very cool looking.
I thought the snow in the background, the old dotty, beautiful. So for this 4/4 for 4, every time you cast a non-creature spell, you can either tap a creature.
You do whatever the fuck you want.
I wish.
That's basically what it says.
if
Just
it-
do whatever.
If the bottom part was actually Astral Slide, this card would be amazing. So you can
Yes.
tap a guy, you can have them gain first strike and lifelink until end of turn, or you can exile them and return them to the battlefield tapped under their owner's control.
So you can't dodge mass removal with it. You can dodge spot removal with it, but you can't dodge the mass removal. This thing,
You can't dodge 6-mana or I guess that's mass removal. I guess Elspeth, 6-mana Elspeth. Sorry.
oh yeah. This one's a hard one to evaluate because it's a fine base rate. 4/4.
Right, those
whatever.
are your expectations are at least 4/4 for 4. Yes.
And it's going to do so many different things at so many different points in time that it's going to get hard to figure out what that baseline is. You know what I mean? Like, every game with this card in play is going to look drastically different based on your deck, like how many non-creature spells you have, what the situation is that's doing so many things. It's going to be hard to evaluate, like, was this actually good, or, like, does it just seem good? Like, this is a very tricky card because it just does so many things.
I think there's definitely opportunities to talk about how this thing could be really, really good. On defense, tapping guys. When you're at parity, it's getting first strike and lifelink and pushing you past. And it's also potentially living.
Potentially living.
I mean, on defense, like I don't. I mean, there are scenarios where you're gonna like not want to cast your instant before blockers, so you go to blockers and slide your guy as opposed to tapping your opponent's guy pre-combat. Like there are options here. I think there's a lot of play to the card, obviously, because there's so much text on it.
I think it deserves a shot.
It's just it doesn't do anything on its own. It's my only problem.
It does seem like a very kind of exciting story card. Of like, you'll never believe what Ochitai Exemplars did today.
Right, you'll never have how many guys attack and how much life gain and do all these things. I just don't know about this one. Going quickly, we'll stop and talk about the chat here. With new morphs available, are you revising old morphs and looking to keep people guessing by maybe putting some back? I think that there's a pretty big gap between old morphs and new morphs. Almost all the morphs from cons were really slow. I think that was made mostly for...
That was intentional.
Yeah, for limited and its implications there. Here it's just megamorphs and the few aggressive ones probably from that cycle that really have a shot. So there's not enough impact to really want to go back and be like, okay, how can we kind of rejuice this area to make it interesting and make it fun? It reminds me a lot of when Slivers was released a year or two ago. And it was like, oh, let's revisit Slivers and Cube. Could it be a thing?
Wait a minute, they're all bad.
Right, you've already established that like 2 of them might be playable, and then you need at least like 4 more new ones to be playable, and there aren't enough. Morphs have a little less restrictions on them than Slivers do.
I think it's just a general problem with creatures, that creatures, if you look at the power graph of creatures, it's like this over time. It just constantly goes up. So if you go to revisit a creature archetype, whether it's morph or slivers or anything else,
warriors, goblins,
right? When you're going back in the Wayback Machine for dudes, they're almost always, by modern standards, not good enough.
Of course, I had to say goblins, and that was one of the few that was horribly wrong.
Right, that's the only like exception.
Lackey and recruiter kind of break the mold there, or bring leader to have our back. Regardless, I think we talked about Morph and Cube at length. We actually did an entire episode on it at one point, I believe.
It is in the archives.
Long before Tarkir was the land, we talked about Morphs and Cube because we both love Morphs and Cube. We wish there were more. We wish that Whipcorder could still be a card.
Yeah,
it's not, and that's
right. And that's just kind of what you find for a lot of old forms.
Didn't even talk about Fortune Thief. God, I miss Fortune Thief.
Moving on.
I don't see anything yet.
Oh, here we go. Secure the Wastes. Decree of Justice's little counterable, not card drawing brother.
I love this card.
I mean, it's very good. Clearly,
I love this card.
This is hard to stop, instant speed, splashable win con that rewards big mana
and rewards Crusade players
and rewards aggressive decks
and rewards Perforos players.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved Decree of Justice, and this is close enough.
I used to love Decree of Justice. Now I'm lukewarm to Decree of Justice. As creatures get better, as games get faster, Decree gets worse. This card, every deck wouldn't mind having it, and some really want it.
It kind of reminds me of like Martial Coup, but like clearly more aggressive.
Right. Yeah, like all the control decks want that card because it's a win con Wrath, where all the decks want this card because it's so modal. I need a block. I need a few guys to attack or block. I can win the game with this card.
Well, and it's great because, say you're playing the white beatdown deck, you play a couple guys and force the pressure onto your opponent, but you don't want to overextend, right? And you just leave mana up and keep attacking. They wrath you, EFT, you're right back in it. You make 3 guys or 4 guys or whatever, and the beatdown train continues. And like, God help them if you have Crusade in play.
Which is arguably better than 1 or 2 guys and drawing a card off Decree.
Arguably.
Yes.
So yeah, Secure the Waste.
Loving it.
Will be going in. Do you at least Silk Wrap, Smother, Oblivion Smother?
Oblivion Smother? Or does it leave the battlefield? It doesn't leave the battlefield. So it's like arguably better than a pacifism?
I mean, I don't know.
Meh.
Yeah.
And we are out of white.
Briefly just touch on Sunscorch Regent. The base rate is too weak.
Tubby Dragon.
Yeah. I think if it was a 3/4, you'd probably have a better shot because it would be much harder to kill. Anticipate. We had talked about this, or we had talked. in private we had spoken.
Spoken about this, yes.
Not on Twitter or anything. It's not going to make the cut in our queue, and the reason for that is that we already haven't been playing cards that are about this good for a while, and we haven't been looking for this more of this effect for a while. We play strategic planning because that goes into the graveyard. We play impulse because it goes 4 cards. We play.
It really boiled down to anticipate versus strategic planning, and a little bit of delve, a lot more of reanimator, kind of won out in that argument. Where,
I mean, like the way I've been thinking about this is like we haven't played Telling Time in years, and even to the point where like no one has even asked about it. So this is not significantly better or worse.
I think it's better than Telling Time.
I mean, it's better if there's only one good card, and worse if there's 2 cards you want to keep, right? So but it's not significantly different enough to be like, oh yeah, we have to play this. So whatever.
I think if our cube was like 800 cards, it would probably.
I mean, if you really,
yeah. I mean, no one's saying it's a bad card. I'm just saying there's just not space for it. So in newer cubes, people that don't have a deepest collection.
If you don't own an impulse.
Yeah, I would expect Anticipate to show up in a lot. I would anticipate it showing up in a lot of cubes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there we go. I couldn't get away from it. I apologize. I do have to stop and talk about elusive spell fisting. Just because I feel like to defend the Storm archetype, which is going to be one of the few times I have to do this on the show today, you want something. You want some other avenue of attack, and a creature avenue would be a great avenue, because a lot of times combating that deck, you take out removal, you're not looking to deal with creatures aren't an issue for you. So this like semi-prowess guy that starts with a reasonable body, you've got the Lumigrid Warden blocker type creature, can quickly become kind of a win con for those Storm decks, similar to how like maybe a small Empty the Warrens can be a reasonable way to win a game. I think an elusive spell festing for 9 or something can go a long way with those Storm decks. It's blue though, so it's really hard to break in at that color, and sadly will not make the cut. But I like the idea and the concept of it. Some kind of Kiln Fiend-esque guy, preferably with some kind of evasion or other way to break through. Eck doesn't care.
I mean, my feelings on Storm and its invasion into our great cube, our land, have been well documented at this point. So I'm fine with it also not affecting the creatures. Icefall Regent. This is an exciting one. Do you like Dungeon Geist? Do you like Frost Titan? Have I got a deal for you? What if we split the difference?
Pretty much. We played Dungeon Geist for a long time. It was totally fine. Great Phantom Monster. Frost Titan is still a very strong blue win condition, although ironically, of the blue 6-drops, probably the weakest.
I don't know about that. It solves problems that the other ones don't.
I guess. I still rather have Sphinx Fedora.
See, I would definitely not.
And this is why it's a great format. We have both, thankfully. This guy is right square in the middle. You get a 4 power flyer for 5 mana.
Good deal.
Taps down your opponent's guy.
Good
and
deal.
It also, now it doesn't have the full Frost type. This full Frost type was spells and abilities. This guy just spells.
However, was Frost Titan also opponents, or was it all spells?
No, it was opponents.
Okay, it wasn't like Cure That.
It was not like
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Frost Titan, you could.
I think this card's excellent, for obvious reasons.
I like it a lot. Again, I hate talking about blue cards in cubes. It's always like, wah, wah,
the rich
wah.
get richer,
or like you just the bar is so hot.
Sure.
Like
I think
guy,
I think this guy's fine. And I think he's going to make it in.
All right.
I think we already have a change in the proposed change log for this.
Get ahead of ourselves, but yeah, it's probably in there.
Yeah. Living Lore is cool as fuck. Like great picture, great flavor. Not making it obviously, but super cool. Like A++ cool.
I'm glad.
If you're making a flavor cube, that bad boy's in there.
Oh yeah.
Side note, not going in, but I spent when they spoiled Mirror Mockery. I spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out like how to go infinite with it, and you can't do it.
Oh, interesting. I thought I was expecting that to end with you can, but it's totally not worth your time.
Oh, I mean, it wouldn't have been worth your time anyway, even if I made it work. But like, I could not get there. I spent a fair amount of time at work just like trying to dig through options. What else we got? What else we got? Flying Oculus. Short Crash or Elemental.
Interesting. You would like to discuss this magic card?
I think it's people talk about it, stuff like that.
I don't think it's a cube card in the lead. I mean, maybe if you're playing Master of Waves, you're into this guy.
And Thassa. Right. Or you have like a more blue beatdown. I mean, you're the one who's always trying to push blue beatdown.
True. If we were living in the blue down, then it's possible I would be all up on this guy's nuts. I do love me a Frostwalker, although the ship has sailed for us in that regard.
Right. It's something to keep in mind that the tools are over time. So like the blue beatdown thing. For a long time, we've tried it. It's gone in, it's gone out. It's been fed Hasmol Bear, etc. And a lot of times, it just never really gets off the ground because there are not enough pieces. It's important to keep in mind when they print cards that are good for strategies that you're not currently employing, because eventually they're going to get to a critical mass where you can reinsert them. So, like, this card is not going to make our cube right now. But if we decide in the future, hey, we haven't looked at blue beatdown in a while, this is going to be on that list.
Yeah, that guy will come up on the list.
Yes. And, obviously, if you're playing Master Waves with us or you care about devotion in some way, then obviously he gets better.
Yeah, for us,
matched. Do you like this guy?
No. Silumgar Sorcerer for double blue and 1 colorless. You have a Flying Flash exploit. And if he exploits a creature, you can remove soul when he enters the battlefield. The artwork is spectacular. 2 power flyer for free at Flash. That's cool. If it was...
It's hard for blue to exploit in cube.
Also very true. I mean, he can
sack himself. It's true. That's not a great rate.
If he was negate, he'd be way better.
Right. That was the other thing I was going to say, is if they flip the wording. Black exploits way better than blue does in cube. And we'll get to black here in a bit. This guy's close, I think. Again, if you have like the kind of blue beatdowny sort of deck, he's going to be a lot better. Great tempo play. Speaking of blue beat, again, like it seems like there's just a lot of cards that
those old Jin monks.
So Stratus Dancer.
Yeah, people are all up on this card's nuts, and I don't like it.
That's weird. This seems like a you card. Like I'm surprised it's not your face on it. Like you making a little pose.
Thanks. Well, let's get some shit straight. If you're playing this as like Welkin turn or whatever, you are doing it wrong.
I don't know. I mean, how many? I've seen more than a few cube decks or cube lists that have the 2/1 flyer for 2 and a Phyrexian mana.
Oh yeah, Spinethopter.
Yeah. That is a card that sees a notable amount of cube play, and not just in like Pauper cubes or Pauper Peasant cubes.
Huh.
So there is a market for 2/1 flyers for 2.
I guess I will say, if you are on the blue down, blue beat down, the Phantasmal Bear, the Frostwalker, the Shoreline Ranger, or whatever. Shoreline Ranger is a different card. Shoreline Elemental or whatever.
Yeah.
Stratus Dancer is probably inside your alley. With that, 2-drop or a 5-drop. If it's a 2-drop, it's a Welkin turn. If it's a 5-drop, you're probably telegraphing it, and even then, it's not even negate. It's just Muddle and Mixture. I don't like it. I appear to be in the vast minority here.
I don't think it fits thematically with what blue is doing in our cube. I think it's a good card.
Again, if you were the blue down, if you're the blue beat down,
well,
I wouldn't knock you for playing it, because then it's actually modal.
Right.
You want to play a 2-power flyer on 2.
The blue decks in our cube currently never want to play a 2/1 flyer.
Yeah, or if you flood out, you have that option. 3-power flyer.
Yeah.
And we're out of blue.
Big Oculus. I like there's Flying Oculus and Big Oculus in this set.
Well, there is exploit.
Let's see.
Bloodchin Ranger, though. Goblin War drumming your warrior creature, so it's like a 2/2 can only be blocked by 2 guys for black aggro. 2 drops in black aggro.
You gotta do a warrior count.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cards, so similarly, like, Bloodchin Fanatic is another one where if you got a lot of warriors, then this card's probably right in your alley. But you don't have a lot of warriors, it doesn't do anything. So it's just trained Armadon.
Yeah. So like
you have to count that out.
Cubed from 2-3 years ago, where it's like, fuck, what's the human count these days?
Right.
Yeah, I like Willbender more than the other guy too. Now you got to do the warrior count and see where it's at. Maybe somewhere down the line, as we have seen over social media in the last week or so, black. No one knows what to do with black in the cube.
Maybe warriors.
Maybe warriors is a better answer than shitty vampires. I won't discount it. I think that Bloodchin Rager is going to definitely go under the radar this time around. It's going to be one of those cards. Maybe a few months from now, maybe later this year, we'll be looking back, being like, "That's the way to go."
It's possible. I mean, it is a 3-drop in black, which is the biggest hole of the whole.
Well, I'm talking about the 2-drop.
Oh, I was talking about Bloodchin Fanatic.
Yeah,
but like they kind of go hand in hand.
Sure, I think Bloodchin Ranger is a little better by itself.
Sure,
this is still Goblin War Drums by itself.
Gamble Pack. You can go for the double win. Style points for the double win. Super combo finish.
What's the what? Drain Geyser is what people are calling this.
Yeah.
It reminds me of those. Was it Phyrexia, where the 5-mana target player draws 3, loses 3, gets 3 poison counters?
Yeah.
Like things of that nature.
That one's good because you can go for the triple kill.
Sure. Just like Decimator Web.
Right. You gotta have all the angles covered.
Ultra, yeah. Damnable Pact. It is not gonna make it.
What do you think about? I know we technically skipped this in alphabetical order, but what do you think about Corpse Weft?
Exile 1 or more creature cards from your graveyard. Put an XX Black Zombie Horror on. Okay. So we went through the whole like black graveyard enchantments, new angle of attack, like trying to give them away that can't be easily combated and still gives them card advantage thing. And I think we've come out the other side of that, where it's like way too much effort at setting it up, and not enough games of Magic play out where that actually happens.
You have to stop talking to something.
Yeah, I was reading to see if it was relevant to what was going on. So, long story short, Corpse Weft, too slow, too resource intensive, too much of a dream.
Yeah, you're possibly right.
I will take possibly right.
It does fit into that whole like you going deep on all the enchantments. Black has a lot of graveyard helping enchantments at this point. Cool art for Duress.
Yeah. It's a big yelling mouth.
Yeah, a lot of that. I really like the Mind Rot in this set. I think it looks really cool. I think the foil of that would look awesome too. That art, that's sweet. What do you think about Minister of Pain? Do you think that there's a market for that, or is -1/-1 just not enough?
Well, we haven't wanted any Infest variant in a long time. And I think that if a black 3-mana card of any variety, creature or spell, was going to have something like that, we would know about it and we would want it, we would go after it. I don't think that Minister of Pain is versatile enough to make me want to be like, we should definitely do that. Okay. Too often it's a vanilla 2/3.
How about a 5/3 with a downside and an upside?
I like the Pitiless Horde.
Pitiless Horde has the benefit of costing 3 mana and being a black creature.
Yes.
That alone gets you in the conversation at this point.
Still, we have not left, as much as we have made leaps and bounds in Cube ever since we even started this podcast, black 3-drops are still kind of lacking.
It's the worst spot in the entire Cube.
I have a soft spot for the Juzam Djinn wannabes. I have fond memories of people I know trying to play cards like Drinker of Sorrow. I'd like to think
Negator.
Yeah, I'd like to think this guy is good, but so many people are trying to tell me to the contrary. It's hard to keep strong in that will.
3 toughness is brutal.
Yeah.
If this was a 3/5, it'd be so much better.
It was just a 4/4.
That'd be insane.
Would it really be insane?
It would snap me in.
Wow.
It is a 4/4.
Wow. Where can I send that memo? I had no idea. So here's the way I look at this card in the positive light. Turn 3, You're playing black. You don't have a lot of options and creatures anyway.
I do like that nickname from chat, the Juzam Juggernaut.
Ooh,
that's a good name. Ooh, yeah.
In the cube.
Yeah.
So
you had a good nickname, you make it.
For black beatdown, you've kind of a gap at 3 already. Boom, 5 power guy, 3 mana. Awesome, loving it. Don't give a shit about the rest as long as it's not Drinker of Sorrow. This guy can block. This guy doesn't sack permanents when he does things.
The drawback is surprisingly like soft for black.
Exactly. We know what Grinning Demon has done to people, but this guy is getting in there faster, sooner. In the late game, there's no waiting. It's like you've got front of the line access immediately. Get in there for 5.
I mean, I think it's close. It's not my favorite card, but black 3-drops are so weak and such an underserved portion of the cube that I think it almost has to go in as a trial.
I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be the one fighting for this card, and like 6 weeks from now, no one's going to ever cast it.
Right. That's part of the other problem is like no one's going to ever cast it. Reckless Imp. There's a 3-drop.
I dashed that guy probably like 15 times today.
Festering Goblin Part 2, the Festering inning.
Yeah, somehow like terrible, weird artwork. You don't want to stop and talk about Risen Executioner? People fucking love this card. You just say no, that's fine.
No.
Okay. I also do not like that card.
A lot of work. You're working really hard for a 4/3 that can't block.
There's like an old, was there like a slightly smaller hulking Cyclops that this reminds me of from like regular limited days? Whatever, we're past it.
Yeah. Sidisi, Undead Vizier. Now that's a card.
Now let me tell you a little something about Exploit. I thought you didn't get the Exploit trigger if the creature with Exploit wasn't on the battlefield when the trigger resolved, and I still thought this card was good.
Yeah.
Then before the pre-release, I learned no, Exploit creatures can exploit themselves, and you still get the effect because they're paying for the effect to get it.
This card, obviously going in.
Yeah.
Slam, diggity dum.
Yeah. So 4/6 Death Touch for 5, liking it already.
Deal.
It's a zombie.
Good
super
deal.
Great. Then on top of that,
and the easiest, aside from just Exploit in general, black has the easiest time sacking creatures. It makes tokens. It gets guys back. The whole thing.
Yeah, she's also helping Reassembling Skeleton be like, I'm useful.
Right. Helping with the ego. Some of these cards. Demonic Tutor is good all the time.
And be real, it's diabolic.
Well, but I mean, it's good. Obviously, put it in your queue, play it. It's very good.
Yeah, you don't need us to tell you. You already knew that.
Right next to Sidisi, Silmgar Assassin.
So
another one of the morph cycle.
We talked about how the white one was never really a dead card, because you could blow up a guy bigger than it. It could trade with things smaller than it. It has lifelink. This guy's in a slightly different place where he wants to get involved in a lot of small arms race. Wants to, get in there. Hope that your opponent has bigger guys that he can just slide right through and deal some damage. And
it's a weird form of evasion, but going under.
Yeah. Especially on a guy that's wants to be a tempo play to kind of stay in the game. So he's he's turning up and I guess getting rid of something that could be standing in his way. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that. It's just like a weird skin thinner.
Yeah, it's very clunky.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
I also got a foil CDC today from the pre-release. Totally awesome.
Everybody gets a foil CDC.
So did we close out our thoughts on Silmgar Assassin? I would love to see it in foil because I'm sure it looks super cool, but I do not think that it's going to make the cube.
I don't think so either. The problem is I don't want to pay 3 mana for that rules check.
It's not even Smother, right? It'd be so much better if it was Smother.
Oh, if it was Smother, this would be kind of a different conversation. Also, if it had the converted mana cost unlockability for some weird reason,
Sure.
You could block with tokens and stuff, but you can expensive cards.
Good evening. Sorry, it's for the audio side of this. We are saying hi to people. I do a Vulturous Aven. So close.
What would it take for this card? What minor change would it take for this card to be good?
I mean, obviously, if you could shave 1 mana off that casting cost.
Oh yeah, 2/3 flyer for 2. No, it's good. Yeah, okay.
What if it was Phantasmal Monster? What if it was 3/3 flyer? Would you be into it at that cost?
No.
What if it was a 1/1 flyer for 2? That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
I take back what I said. What if it was a 1/1 flyer for 3?
Nope.
Interesting. I think it'd be awesome as a 1/1 flyer for 3.
It has to be like a 2/3 flyer for 2 for 3, or a 1/1 for 2. I don't want to pay 4 mana for this effect like ever. So it's got to be more.
Saying
it's got to be more efficient.
You just got it. So you wouldn't take a 1/1 for 3?
No.
No. Really? I mean, it's like if it's a 1/1 for 3, it's effectively like the black Muldrifter.
No, it's not. Muldrifter's a 2/2.
Yeah, but for 3 mana, Muldrifter.
The evoking aspect of it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, except you lose life, and the card's worse otherwise.
That's why it's the black.
Get worse in every way than blue cards, yeah. Also, as a quick aside, rip Darkle Turtle.
Yeah.
R.I.P. I'm sad that this card wasn't more exciting. Like, I think it's cool that they have the, like, before and after stuff, or, like, the time shifted, whatever. I'm just sad that, like, Meandering Tower Shell did a lot of stuff and was, like, weird and, like, kind of endearing in that way, because, like, this is such a fucking odd card. And for it to be converted into a vanilla 1/6 is sad.
I think it actually kind of helps the myth in the I guess the Vorthos of the game is like, because now people opening this card, especially younger people, are like, oh, what's up with this weird zombie turtle? Like, oh, you gotta go back to the old set. It was rare back there. It was super
long, long ago.
Yeah.
6 months.
Not even.
Anyway, moving on.
So people want to talk about Commune with Lava.
I was about to stop there.
I do not like this card, nor ever see it being good.
I see this card. It's close.
Ooh.
I like this card, I think, more than you. Not enough to put it in.
That's not hard.
I see this. The problem with a card like this is you obviously can't do it for like 20. There's no point. So it's odd that way. You know, it's an X spell, but it kind of has a natural upper bound of what you really want from it. I see this as like a red Jace's Ingenuity. I see this being for 3 a lot.
Okay.
And then like you almost always will be able to use all 3 cards.
Interesting.
Unless, depending on how your deck is
we are specifically talking about like red aggressive, maybe red mid range.
Like red mid range to like the Wildfire deck.
Yeah,
I don't like it in aggressive deck.
Obviously, so
I mean, maybe if you could like spin 5 burn spells, that's good.
The easy analog is the Wildfire decks, was those are the decks that have 6 mana in red or more. The only thing about those decks is to turn over anything good, you're only going to be able to cast 1 card out of whatever you reveal the next turn anyway. So at that point, it's just like a super expensive impulse.
No, you can get all the cards.
But I'm saying, like, if your deck, the good cards in your deck are 6 mana cards.
Oh.
And I'm saying, like, that's the deck that has the mana for this.
Sure.
Like, but for me, best case scenario in the cube is, like, the red-green ramp deck.
Right.
Like, it's always kind of like, it has this identity crisis where it's like, oh, I'm a creature deck. Oh, I'm
I
not really a creature.
Huntmaster the Fell.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm a creature deck. No, oh, I'm a burn deck, but I don't have enough burn. Like, oh, I'm a wildfire deck, but then that kills all my guys that ramped me.
Right.
Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and I'm sometimes good, but it's hard to say.
I like this, like, you do it for 3, you, like, hit a mountain, you hit, like, incinerate, and then you hit, something. A guy, Stone Rain, whatever,
Which are all cards you could find in kind of that red-green, mid-range, rampy deck.
Yeah. So, I think, as long as your deck is constructed, it's not going to fit in a lot of places. I'll give it that. It won't get drafted very much, but I think in the places it does get drafted, it'll be good.
I think, of all the cards that I'm not interested in today, that I could be interested in tomorrow, this is at the top of the list, because
it's a unique effect.
I really miss, like, the red-brown, big red deck.
Yeah.
There's some Mindslaver
It's
action.
also kind of an interesting Ideas Unbound style card for Storm. Which is a thing you care about deeply. So, being able to, like, okay, I'm kind of getting set up, alright, end of your turn, do it for, like, 5 or 6, like a quasi-Mind's Desire that you have to pay for the cards, but, like, you load up and do it, and then, like, go off with the cards next turn.
Mind's Desiring into this would suck.
Yeah, but Mind's Desiring into lots of things would suck.
I'm just thinking...
This into Mind's Desire, though, real good.
Maybe. It's the same problem we were talking about earlier with like you hit a 6 casting cost card.
Keep it
coming.
Can I just nominate Cradle Elemental as the weirdest card in the set by a mile?
It was in my sealed deck today, and it was just like super slow rolling fucking flame slash, which is really annoying. Because I played against an opponent with Sova one of the rounds.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was not cool.
I'll take your 06.
And I'll shoot you.
Dragon Whisperer.
This was a
long line of red mana sinks.
I wish there was a longer line of red mana sinks. This was a card we were split on initially. So I still kind of like it, but I also don't think there's a whole lot of room in our cube for it.
Yeah. I think it's close.
I agree it's close. When we talked, I felt like I was trying to talk you into it. My argument being like it's Goblin Balloon Brigade, slightly bigger brother. That's better. It's got that kind of warm breathing, double cost on the fire breathing, also not bad. Obviously, you've talked about the mana sink. And should the game go long, should any kind of board stall happen with a red deck?
Oh, if you're activating the dragons aspect of this card, you're living in a magical fairyland.
See, and that's kind of where the road really diverges. Similar to Anna Fenza at the top of the show, I think you should actually go back to our cube and we can kind of compare here on anything that.
What are our
analogs to this card currently?
There we go.
Okay. Red 2s.
Ash Zealot, Gorehouse Chainwalker, Humble Defector, Bargain Dragon Lord, Lightning Mauler, Stormblood Berserker, Young Pyromancer.
That's it. So I would say Lightning Mauler is probably the next on the list to kind of have its way out the door.
I agree with you. The good red cards have haste already, so it's not like helping that much.
And it's almost like Lightning Mauler has suspend 1 because when you cast it, you often don't do anything with it.
Right.
And it's not like you're like amped to cast it and block.
Yeah.
So it's in a weird space. Alternatively, there's Ash Zealot, which is really effectively just a 2/2 haster.
I like Ash Zealot. First strike is very good.
Okay.
Gorehouse Chainwalker is pretty unexciting.
It's a legit 3-power guy for 2, though.
Yeah, but there's a lot of those.
I mean, it's better
if you really want him. We're not playing very many. That's really the only one we're playing. I guess Stormblood Berserker. It's not like we could be playing if we really wanted 3-power guys for 2 in red. We could be playing a lot more of them.
What are the other? I mean, there's like Mog Flunkies that I remember. What else do we have?
Oh, there's Warname Aspirants. There's Keldon Marauders.
That one's awkward.
There's a couple other ones. I'm just saying we're not like maxing out.
True, but we're also not like looking to. I mean, like again, I look at this collection of red 2-drops, and I'm like, Lightning Mauler is the only one that I'm not thrilled with. I feel like all these other cards are kind of attacking the specific. I love Humble Defector. You get away from my Humble Defector.
But yeah, Lightning Mauler is probably the worst. Whether or not it's better than Dragon Whisperer, I'm not sure.
And I think it's spoilers. I think we actually cut Lightning Mauler for something else later in the spoiler as it is.
Irish Shaman, perhaps? One line down.
That is important trivia for later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah.
So we've got some wrestling-related information.
We'll talk about that later. Irish Shaman.
So I think there's a conversation going on in the chat that has nothing to do with us, actually. All I know is you, in fact, can only play 1 land at a turn, but I think there's some other stuff going on.
There's a kind of lava fight going on.
Okay.
Irish Shaman is probably the best.
I love this card. It has nothing to do with the fact that it has tits for some reason.
Oh, that's weird.
I know that
it's weird that you brought that up. Is more what I mean.
Sure, I had it in my deck today. I love every part of this card. I cast it as a 2-drop, take beat. I cast it as a morph and turned it up and played a land off of my exiled card, sweet spells off my exiled card.
The deck that also wants this will almost assuredly be able to cast whatever you flip into on the turn 4.
Yeah,
if you don't have a 4-drop.
Ideally, if that is your play,
you play it more if you turn it up, and you're almost always going to have something to do.
So it's like a draw. Yeah, I love Irish Shaman. at this point, I thought it was actually going to go a little more under the radar, but everyone I've heard weigh in on this card loves it as well.
Oh no, I think this card's very good.
Yeah.
This card's going in for sure.
There is some talk of Lightning Berserker.
Lightning Berserker seems like it's getting a lot of hype, and I don't really see it. It's a mana sink, which is certainly a thing that is good.
I mean, you really only you only get the surprise out of it. Like you get to dash it and hit hopefully your opponent once, or it hopefully has like this weird provoke thing.
Yeah.
Your opponent has like one like giant guy on the board, and you're like, you don't want to take 6. Like you better block this. That kind of situation.
Yeah,
I think a year or two ago we would have been very excited to see this.
Sure.
Red creatures, especially the low drop
They've
ones.
picked their game up in the last couple of sets.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Big Flame Slash?
I'm already lukewarm to regular Flame Slash. Okay, so this I think Roast has kind of an analog to Mizzing Mortars.
Sure.
Which do you prefer there?
Mizzing Mortars. I mean, the difference between 4 and 5 is less of a big deal in Cube. Especially the ability to hit flyers is more relevant, obviously. There's just more flying. And the ability to go upstairs with the overload comes up a lot.
Well, it's like how many 5? So it's like Pelucranos. Like what are the 5 toughness ground pounders?
Siege Rhino. Is Siege Rhino in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like that's a different.
Mean,
but it's
Siege
like
Rhino, Pelucranos.
You can't hit Baneslayer Angel with this card.
No. You can't hit any. It doesn't hit any of the other big derpy flyers.
Right. I was trying to think of
it doesn't hit small flyers, which is also relevant.
What has exactly 5 toughness in Cube that I'm like, finally,
now we can kill it.
Right. And
on the ground.
I'm spent. Yeah, but it's like I have to have lost it at least once.
Right. It's the Pelucranos.
Pelucranos is like the #1 offender that I can think of. Like, and again, like I don't.
Kills Juicy.
We're never playing Rust.
Kills Juicy? Not interested. And of all the time shifted cards, this one felt the laziest to me. Prowler. Have you seen them side by side?
Yeah.
They literally just like photoshopped into dragons and called it a day.
Where they photoshopped out 2 dragons.
Right. Either way, yeah.
I think what's hilarious these days is when we were playing Magic a decade ago, if you were to put in the exact same fucking card, 5 months apart, there would be riots. And you're like, what the fuck?
There's like multiples of it.
But now people love it.
Right. What do you think of Thunderbreak Region?
You also can't roast a Baneslayer Angel possess protection from dragons.
Flavor fail? Flavor fail? Okay.
Even if you Earthbind it.
Flavor Judge? Yeah.
Still can't get there. Thunderbreak Region is totally okay.
Yeah, I think that this is probably maybe makes the top 10 red 4-drops. And that's not a knock on Thunderbreak Region. It's an embarrassment of riches.
At red 4.
At red 4. It's really ridiculous how many cards have this cost that are very good.
Yeah. Okay, so Arc Lightning or Twin Bolt?
I like Twin Bolt. I like Fire.
Alright.
It's just, this is literally one half a split card and it's still good.
Interesting. If we were already playing Fire and Ice and needed more of that, I'd be like, let's talk. But we aren't.
No. It's close. And I think Forked Bolt is better than this.
Interesting.
Also.
Is Forked Bolt better than Arc Trail?
Not really.
Interesting. Because I thought Arc Trail was the first card I mentioned in comparison to this.
You said Arc Lightning.
Oh, I meant to say Arc Trail.
Oh, okay. No, Arc Trail way better
than Twin Bolt. Okay.
I thought you said Arc Lightning and like a 2 versus 3 thing.
I did not mean to do that. That is horribly my mistake.
Okay. Last but not least in red, the most obvious windmill slam dunkaroo.
What was the first most obvious card that everyone's going to put in their cubes? It wasn't Irish Shaman, as much as I thought it was. It was a card like after that.
Sidisi?
Oh, yeah, Sidisi. So this is the second most obvious card. So you're playing Sidisi, obviously.
You're also going to...
I feel like there's something else. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
We'll get there, I'm sure.
I'll review the tape. Zergo Bell Striker, gotta love it.
What do you get? What do you?
Gotta love it. There's nothing bad you can say about this card. I mean, again, we play in a singleton format, so like the legendary part doesn't irk us at all.
There's no like, do you play 4 or 3?
Yeah,
like,
there's
you
no,
play 1.
I hope this card isn't $1 million when I go to get one.
I can't imagine.
I don't know. It's only a rare, and kids only care about mythics these days.
Yeah, obvious. Nothing really to talk about. Obviously going in.
Yeah.
Rip Jackal Pup.
No, close though. We're getting there. I also don't think
Rip Reckless Wave.
Yeah.
Nah. Rip Spike Shadow.
Oh, Spike Elder definitely got ripped this time.
Okay.
I think Wave and Elder might have been.
I like Wavy.
I just hate busting sleeves.
It's There's a definite opportunity cost with that one.
Okay, and the lackluster that is green. Oh, you know what? I'll take that back. Avatar the Resolute.
That is a card.
Brings back a good question about green. Now, long ago, we
played Jungle Lion, we played Strangleroot Geist, we played
Pouncing Cougar,
Casban Ogre,
Albino
Troll, Wild Dogs.
Yeah, we had the full complement of what we felt was the green aggro, and what we really found was green aggro pales in comparison to white aggro and red aggro, and that no color can come close to green's ramp, so we shifted. Yeah, all the Llanowar Elves came in, all of that kind of stuff happens. This guy is really the first kind of creature in the kind of green beatdown vein to bring back the conversation of, well, maybe we should rethink green beatdown. Maybe Strangleroot Geist, Avatar the Resolute are a good place to be. And I think we'll even have another example of that as we go down this spoiler, although I can't remember.
I like this guy, and I think if you're trying to make the green beatdown reality, obviously he's going in. He's a good guy without that second line of text is almost, it's completely unnecessary. It's just gravy. 3/2 reach trample for 2. That's already, 3/2 trample was already a card that people were playing. So adding reach for free, good. Adding the ability to maybe be bigger than that, and it plays well with things like Strangleroot Guys. And isn't there a 1-drop with like the Strangleroot Guy?
Not really for Q, but there are.
Okay.
I mean,
there are cards. There are +1/+1 counters in green.
And again, you want to talk about how modal this card is. You can play this as a 2-drop, and it's great. Or you could have activated Gavany Township on turn 5 or 4,
and then go nuts.
Yeah, and play this guy. I don't. I'm not going to say single-handedly bringing green aggro back into the conversation, but definitely, again, as we've talked about, your cube can be
one of the strongest green beatdown cards they've printed in a long time.
I recommend kind of choosing one of those roles, kind of being splitting the difference and being like, oh, I'll play a few Llanowar Elves and I'll play a few green beatdown cards.
Yeah, you got to go one or the other, I think. And we're in ramp mode.
I think ramp mode is superior because it's also unique for the color.
Yeah.
But if they make a few more Avatar of the Resolutes,
Collect the Company, the value.
Yes, this is probably the most debated card of the entire set, and I'm not. I mean, including Cube. The question is it Congregation of Dawn plus Impulse jammed together? Is it the green card advantage you're looking for, or is it just another opportunity the green spells always seem to have, where it's like it feels like you're going to hit a bunch of shit, or in reality you're going to break?
Yeah, it's the problem is it's only a really good. You're only really kind of getting ahead value-wise if you're hitting 3-drops. And it's hard to construct your deck specifically to take advantage of this and still have it be like a functional deck.
I mean, you got to remember, we're playing Cube, right? So it's not necessarily about like, okay, well, I got a 4-power guy and a 2-power guy for 4 mana. That's awesome. It could be like, I hit a Mother of Runes and even if like Mother of Runes Noble Hierarch. End of your turn, untap. I got a mana and I got Fat Protection. I hit Humble Defector and Tarmogoyf. I hit like
Tarmogoyf is the dream.
Tarmogoyf is not. I think the dream is like Pestermite and somebody that finds you your
search your library for an enchantment.
Sorry, Pestermite and Imperial Recruiter.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. Ding 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 ding. Firelit Thicket, win the game.
Yeah.
Again, it's. I don't want to say it's even controversial. I think it's like the same kind of swingy stuff that it's hard to talk about on paper, and you kind of need to get out there and play with it.
Yeah. I think it's definitely one of those things where you gotta see it in action because people just when people talk about cards like this, it's very easy to always describe the close to the best case scenarios.
Right.
And you have to temper that with, well, sometimes you're gonna like just whiff the whole thing. Like you're just gonna get nothing.
Which is Green's, like, that's been Green's MO a lot recently, which is one of the reasons I was trying to like tie Green with black in the graveyard. I had a real sweet one today. We were cubing, and Casey was playing like a junk color beatdown deck, and turn 2 he casts Commune with the Gods, and turns over. So he has like a forest and a plains in play. He turns over 3 swamps, vetted heath, and like he was an enchantment was the last. He got a face feathers off of it.
Okay.
But he nailed like 4 of his like 8
6
black
yeah,
sources.
yeah.
He was like holding multiple black cards in his hands, be like, God damn it! And that was even like a positive for him. He got a card out of it. So Collected Company, I feel like design really crafted this card. I'm sure it didn't start at 4 mana. It didn't start at the top 6 cards of your library. Who knows if you even started to convert a mana cost 3 or less. I feel like those numbers were very specifically chosen to make this card competitive. So I feel like it's gotta be good the way they cost.
Close.
Right. Work was done.
Yeah.
People love Death Mist Raptor. Maybe just for constructed, but people love it.
Why?
Because
I mean, it's a dinosaur, which is cool, but how much Morph are you really playing?
Exactly. You've got a Death Touch trained Armadon, big fucking deal. And then what world are you megamorphing it? So you play it face up, some shit happens, it dies. Then you turn some other thing face up.
Like the card next to it on the spoiler, Den Protector. Oh.
Anyway. Alright, so you and I agree, Death Mist Raptor, not exciting.
I mean, it's a dinosaur, so it's kind of exciting.
It's a lizard beast deck. There are no dinosaurs in Magic.
It's got Raptor in the name.
Okay, fair.
What do you think about Maternal Witness, as they call it on the street these days?
Was it the morph? The M? This was a card I feel like I championed briefly, and then you kind of talked me out of this one.
I mean, a lot of green decks don't want this body. Like this 3/2/2/1 beatdown guy that like has quasi evasion. That's not what green is interested in anyway. Green wants to go 4/4s, 5/5/6/6s, go big.
I don't think there are enough manifest cards in Magic to make Death Mist Raptor good.
You'd have to be playing Mastery of the Unseen and a bunch of other stuff.
You have to have Whisperwood Elemental, Mastery of the Unseen. Like we have like Reality Shift. Is it opponent? Whenever a permanent you control, so you can't like do it on your opponent, have them turn something up. Sorry, it's just too far fetched.
You have to like make a morph cube or something,
which would be cool.
It would be cool if everything had morph or manifest itself.
Everything.
That'd be exciting.
It'd be shell game Magic all over the place. Yeah, Soul Summon, so good, so good.
It'd be the slowest.
First picking Soul Summon,
slowest cube, the slowest.
Okay, so to finish the thoughts on Den Protector. Eternal Witness is aggressively costed. It's costed in the curve that you could play on 3 if you needed to. You can play it on turn 7 and get something back and cast something reasonable. This guy is 5 mana to get something back, which means it's very low percentage chance of casting the card you got back on the same turn. And generally, you're getting back cards you need to stay in the game, like removal spells, threats that maybe died early. Very rarely am I just like, oh, ho-hum, I've got nothing better to do. I might as well just go pick up this good card out of my hand. Or at that cost, it's like fucking restock, and you're only getting 1 card.
Right. The difference between this and Eternal Witness is gigantic.
Yes.
And it doesn't necessarily look that way because of the way the costs on this are broken apart. But the body is irrelevant. No one cares that Eternal Witness is a 2/1. They just care about the effect. And you also can't cheat with this one. You can't like Rexer.
Oh, you can't.
You can't get
momentary
fancy.
blanket of some
right.
Yeah,
you can't get fancy with it. So, I don't like this card.
As soon as you break down Den Protector, it's fucking terrible. I would rather play Restock.
Wow, that's harsh.
I miss Restock.
I know you do. It is the dirtiest.
Green does not have a lot to talk about.
Fellraiser Region is not terrible.
It's also not good.
It costs
Yes.
Lots.
Yes. Does not have flash.
You know what costs less than this? Primeval Titan.
Yes. Yes.
Another naturalist.
Yeah, you're not gonna find a whole lot here. Well, here's the other one. The Scale Guard. What was it? The Scale Guard Sentinels.
Scale Guard Sentinels. That's the other green beatdown card.
Yeah. So
You gotta play a lot of dragons to make that thing. You're just playing a 2/3 for 2. Like,
I mean, if you have one in your hand, or you can reveal one. Or sorry, if you reveal one from your hand, or if you have one in play, it's a 3/4.
you get a lot of changelings.
It's also a human soldier. Those are
If
both.
you're playing
relevant.
Chameleon Colossus, this card gets a lot better.
This guy, a strict upgrade from Elvish Warrior. So you're close.
If you're playing Elvish Warrior.
But again, Elvish Warrior should probably be rated to be a warrior.
And he's also an elf.
Yeah, those are relevant creature types.
Yeah. This is a human, so
Yeah,
human count.
yeah.
What do you think about Shaman and Forgotten
Oh
Lands?
my god, it's such a piece of shit. Can we please not talk about it?
Okay.
Sorry, it's just it costs infinity mana to do Biorhythm. It's also it's a Somber World Sage that can attack, but it doesn't have as much mana. Who likes this card?
I'm just saying. We're reviewing the set.
All right. Do you want to review it anymore?
To review that card? this card?
Yeah.
No, it's terrible.
Oh, there was that guy you were looking for, the one with a counter.
Ah, here we go. Yeah.
Servant of the Scale.
So combo.
There you go. Enjoy it.
It's got it. It's like modular.
Yeah.
Modular. For,
modular the guy.
Yeah.
Modular the
it's,
0/0.
It's Arcbound worker for free.
Yeah. You played a lot of Graft Constructed, remember?
Yeah, I did.
You fucking loved the Plaxcaster Frog deck.
That deck was rad. How do you feel about Surak?
So
I feel like in a world where like Lucrados is a card, in any format where Lucrados is legal, this isn't going to be good enough.
True. I'm really sad that Imamori, the open hand job, will never see action ever again.
No.
Yeah, this guy had Trample, Reach, Death Touch, something like that.
Yeah, slap something else on him.
Yeah, because really it's just like big lightning mauler. But wait, it doesn't even have haste. Wait, is it all creatures? Target creature. So if you play another guy, you can give him haste.
Well, if you go like elf into like 2-power elf into this guy
You
on
can
turn
give himself
3,
haste.
you can give himself
Yeah,
haste
yeah,
attack.
So he's literally just big lightning mauler.
Yeah, if you go Landward Elves into Rattleclaw Mystic into this on turn 3, then you can attack your father.
And he's a human warrior. You know how much we fucking love human warriors right now.
Yeah, warriors all over the place.
I mean, he's not bad. He's
no,
not bad. I like one of the we were talking about green aggro. We were talking about green ramp and the differences and the similarities between those archetypes and those decks. And if you think about it, when you're not playing the aggro and you're playing the ramp strategy, you want cards like this. You want 5-power guys for 4 because you're skipping 3 on the curve. You're playing mana guys early. You're getting a lot of power out there. I mean,
you can afford to have a clunkier curve.
I mean, obviously this guy is nowhere near as good as Juzan Bijin, but come on now.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, this card makes me sad because Predatory Urge, or what's the one for Mirrodin that's just strictly better than this?
Oh, Predator Strike.
Predator Strike.
Used to give +3/+3 in trample.
Right. How far we've fallen.
Wow, I'm sad. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
You pointed out.
Moving on to gold. A lot of cards to talk about in gold.
Indeed.
Dragon Lord Ojatai.
Not well. I think when I first looked at the spoiler and I saw all these Elder Dragons, none of them really jumped out at me, and I'm slowly changing my mind about them. Dragon Lord Ojatai, I like a lot.
Yeah. I like. This card's very good. Costing 5 is surprisingly good because it's a lot easier to get it. You can play it on turn 5. It's gonna live. It has Hexproof. You're not worried about it. And then
you untap, and it's a myriad of options.
Right. You get to do whatever you want.
You can
not keep you alive.
Yeah, you can not attack with it again and hold your opponent at bay. You can get in there, and
if you have any cheeky way to untap it, then it's like the pristine angel treatment. I think this card's very good.
Yes, it is. It's interesting because it kind of falls. Costing 5 is really what it is. If this card costs 6, or if it was like a 2/2 for 4,
right,
we wouldn't be talking about
the fact that it's an aggressively costed creature.
Yeah, so like the blue-eye tap-out decks, this can be the top end for those decks.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it really fits in well. I'm really excited of how well that card turns out.
Next to Dragon Lord Ojatai, Narset.
All right, so I'm ready to pull down the sleeves on this one. I believe we're going to have quite the argument about this card because I think this thing is a giant piece of poop.
I've backed off
Okay.
to some degree.
Ooh.
I still think this card is good.
All right.
I still think this card could be in the queue.
Okay. Lay it on me.
It's impossible to kill. 7 loyalty is a shitload.
Okay, so some decks may care.
The plus is a lot better. You know, people compare it to Dominant Raid.
Mhm.
It's a lot better than Dominant Raid because in even like the best Dominant decks I've ever seen in Cube, they still play like 6 or 7 spells. Like the most creatures they're going to end up playing is like 15 or 16. And I've definitely played white blue control decks with 0 creatures in them. So the hit rate's a lot higher on Narset to draw the card.
Okay, I mean, and it helps that it's worded that so where Domri says creature specifically, she doesn't say
Instant or
sorcery.
sorcery. You
So
can hit other planeswalkers with it. You can hit artifact ramp. You can, just not a creature.
Okay.
The rebound is really good, especially coupled with things like draw spells or wrath. Any wrath effect is awesome with the rebound.
It's a delay. I mean, it's like casting ceasefire on your thing, which is going to be. I feel like it's going to be kind of tough to gauge when you're going to want to use that ability. Like I'm holding Wrath of God. I have Narset in play.
Yeah.
When would I -2 at cast Wrath of God versus +1 at cast Wrath?
The next turn. I'm saying the best thing you could do with Narset is play it plus it next turn, untap, rebound to Wrath, because then they can't play anything into your obvious Wrath of God, which lets you plus it again the next turn.
Okay.
Get it right back to where it was, and you have all the time in the world. You're untapped with mana. Like, I think this card's very good. The emblem is obviously not as good in Cube as it is in other formats, but it's still very good. And I think you could put this in Cube and no one would complain.
I think the emblem is very binary.
Right. It either locks you out of the game or you don't care.
Right.
And whatever. The other 2 effects on this card are very powerful and very good.
Interesting. I have definitely seen blue-white control decks that play next to no creatures, if not no creatures. Nowadays, I don't know if that's
it doesn't happen as
really
often,
possible,
but it still happens.
So trying to give it some merit there. I think the rebound is really tough to gauge, and it's going to be a sorcery most of the time that you're getting out of, which is probably better. Doubling your Ancestral is awesome, but so is Ancestral. Doubling your Wrath of God, it does feel weird. I'm not sure. Like, heaven forbid you end up against the red deck where they're like, yeah, whatever, haste, hit you.
You'd still rather cast a free Wrath of God the next turn.
Okay. I do not like this card, but it's not. It has a lot of loyalty. It has a lot of loyalty. You're playing against like red blue burn spells deck. This card could be really good, and they could just never deal with it. You're playing against like blue black control, and they haven't already landed an Ashiok. This card could be really good.
I think this card's very good, and I think that I'm not as high on it as I was when it was spoiled.
You were pretty zealous on it.
I was pretty zealous about it. I've come down a little bit, but it's still good enough.
I mean, hey, if worst case scenario, maybe it makes people draft more red-green decks, and that's better.
Anyway.
Moving on.
What do you think about the Ochitai selfie stick?
I made the mistake.
I can never unsee that, by the way.
Whatever. I made the mistake of the first time I read this card, I thought it said counter target spell on it.
Oh my god, that'd be ridiculous.
Would it? I think it would be pretty good.
I mean, considering they printed Dismiss at 5.
Well, we didn't know that at the time. So the very first time I read it, and I thought it said counter target spell, I had a long conversation with some other people about it, and I was like, okay, well, return a guy that's like either Goy for nothing, but that could still be good. Gain 4 life counter spell versus gain 4 life draw card is like, that's modal, and I'd kind of expect that out of 4 mana across 2 colors. Yeah. And then as soon as it became remove soul only, I was like, this is not good.
Right. It's just not enough. Dragon Lord Silumgar.
Now this is a card that I did turn 180 on.
This is a big old Sora temptation.
It's better than that.
Yeah. Kicking a Planeswalker is the ultimate dick kicking.
Operative word being ultimate, because when I first looked at this card, I was like, man, Soar was really fragile. You've added 2 more to the casting cost and spread it over 2 colors. Like, I don't know. It seems really precarious. And then I stopped thinking about Soar of Temptation and I started thinking about Zell's Conscripts, and I was like, wait a second. This card is bananas.
I see what you did there.
It's not about taking some random creature, although you definitely could do that because this guy survives most of the red
It's about
cards.
taking Karn or something.
Yes, it's about taking a Planeswalker at the opportune moment to be like, GG, son. And then after that, you have a 3-power flyer with a big butt on it.
And even if they kill it and they take their Planeswalker back, you've probably extracted so much value from whatever horrible thing you've done with that Planeswalker.
And it's not really like a dead card. Like, if it had only said gain control of target Planeswalker, it would be like worth
Very
talking
narrow.
about. It would
You'd be like, this is really narrow.
It'd be like, but I could imagine they would print that card. Yeah. I mean, it would probably be like a.
I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been like a control magic for Planeswalkers exclusively.
And this would have been a good way to introduce it. This guy would have probably cost 5 mana if that had been the case. Like, would have stayed the same stats, same everything. This could have been 5 mana, gain control of target Planeswalker as long as it stays in play. So, I like this card. It's really, really good.
I do too. I really like this card.
I can't believe how much we in agreement we are.
I think this card is just going to be such a backbreaker, like, a lot of times.
Oh, yeah. And then, like, after they're done, like, mopping all the shit you kicked out of them off the floor, then you're like, oh, I just happen to have this 3/5 flying Death Touch guy, by the way.
Yeah. Some cards command. I feel like we should stop on all the commands, basically.
Sure. And this is a card that I feel like I almost went the other 180 on. Because when I first saw this card, I was like, boom, this card's amazing. Gonna play it. In love with it.
It's so hard to get 2 modes that you want at the same time.
We actually had a long conversation about this card where you were saying, oh, it's so expensive.
Right, 5 is a lot.
You're going to be buried by the time you have a chance to cast this. And my argument was, no, it's perfect because it's not about like sitting on a counterspell at 5 mana. If you're really under pressure, you're excited to jam this on 5 because you're going to get a 2-for-1 out of it. It's going to kill 2 things or take care of an important permanent and kill a guy. The reality of the situation is, as much as destroy target Planeswalker is sweet, on a spell that's this expensive, you're probably already taking it on the chin before you get a chance to do something with it. So now you're in this awkward spot where it's like, well, I just jam it as soon as I draw it, and it's kind of like a 1.5 for 1, where it's like bounce your creature as a tempo play, kill your Planeswalker that's already been hitting me, or it's like, do you try to sit on it and extract more value? And while you're sitting on it and extracting more value, your opponent can continue to activate their Planeswalker, which is like demoralizing on this fucked up level where you're like, I'm literally holding a card that could kill a Planeswalker, but I'm not going to cast it because I'm going to try to extract more value.
Yeah, it's just so clunky. I mean, blue-black has enough cards where it's not hurting. If this is a different, like,
there was a moment.
There was a time where it was a little kind of up in the air, but then I was just like, it's just.
If this card was slightly better, and I'm not sure how it could have been slightly better, I think we could have. Oh, right, yeah, sure. That way,
counter target spell.
All right, we figured it out.
5th mode, draw card.
Why make it 1? It's cost 4. Make it draw 2.
Okay.
I think we could have fit it if we really needed to, but I talked myself out of it on that one. You helped with
that. Dragonlord Kolagon. That's. I mean, the last line is obviously terrible. But a 6/6 flying haste guy that also hastes your whole team is not terrible.
Yeah, it's Mad Rush Cyclops' bigger brother. It's the second half of a not bad Tooth and Nail. In the moment, I fucking hate this card because I lost 3 games to it today.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So a little bit of
sour grapes.
Yeah, coming over. So kind of what you expect out of a dragon these days is it's going to cost 6 mana, it's going to fly, and you'd like it to have haste. This guy does those things. It has Mad Rush Cyclops on top of it. That's not bad. And then it has flavor text underneath it. That literally,
they just chose not to italicize for some reason.
Yeah, literally has no implication whatsoever.
Now, what do you think about his command?
Okay.
How do you feel about 1 mana sorceries and stapling 4 of them together?
Here's the thing about Kolagon's command. I like it a lot, and a lot of other cube builders, cube players out there kind of dislike it a lot. And I think that this is a beautiful example of what a cube Magic card should be.
My only concern with this card is so unlike the other commands, you're never really going to have too much of a problem finding modes. You can always play it as like the Lightning's little brother.
Sure.
Um,
We're looking for the downside. Hit me with the downside.
the downside is this might be the least impactful 2-for-1 I've ever seen. And I mean that literally.
Okay.
Like, inspiration is the closest thing to this, like in terms of a 2-for-1 that doesn't do a lot of impact.
Please tell me the card if red.
Of the red-black card you were going to cut for it.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We've still got time. So the thing about Kolaghan's command is it's beautiful as a cube card because it's all these little effects in limited Magic that you kind of should have access to in cube.
But they just don't print powerful enough ones.
Exactly. Like, you kind of want to have a Raise Dead sometimes, but you don't. You kind of just want to have Smelt sometimes, but you don't. You kind of want to just have Piracy Charm or Misery Charm, whatever, and you don't. You wouldn't mind Shock now and then, and now you get to choose 2 out of 4 of that any given day of the week. And I think for that,
it's fine.
It's a beautifully elegant card for cube.
Sure.
It's going to do so much more than what we're talking about because there are going to be so many games where you're like, oh fuck, I just needed to destroy your GTA and shock your other guy. Or you drew a card during your draw step and I really need you to discard that and I'm going to shoot your guy while I'm at it.
Sure. I worry about its level of impact.
I mean,
the big boys format.
8 weeks from now, if everyone's laughed it off and no one has played it, then yes, we will redact this. But I would imagine that if it's always going to make your deck, it's always going to be.
You're never going to cut it.
Yeah, you're always going to discard a card, shock you.
Yeah,
like it's never
Lil Blading.
Yeah,
Lil Blading. Apostrophe Blading. All right, moving on to red green. We've got the big bad, big monster, the big show of the dragon cycle.
Oh, you're gonna go past the Tarkir's command?
Well, I figured we'd talk about the dragon and then we'll talk about the command.
Sure.
So that's a big boy. That's a big ass big card in the Hellkite.
That is a 7 mana 8/8, so it's already bursting at the seams from power and toughness to cast a Guzzler.
Flying trample,
which is very relevant. You're not blocking this thing effectively ever,
and the ability is very good. I mean, regarding Hellkite has been a long upstanding citizen of the cube format, in and out. You know, he comes and goes, but we've taken a mana off.
Mm-hmm.
Made him way bigger,
and made him only cast him during your turn, most likely.
And he can't face. There's no facing. But
I mean, hitting planeswalkers is almost. If it only said creatures, I'd be like, oh, really?
Yeah, but the fact that you hit planeswalkers, it's like, okay,
that goes a long way.
This is a hell of a reanimation target.
It's pretty good, yeah.
This is a hell of a tooth and nail. This is a pretty sweet Oath of Druids flip.
That's all right. I like it better. Like, I think Natural Order is where this card really shines.
Sure. I mean, any way of cheating this thing into play, you're going to crush the hopes and dreams.
Yeah. I mean,
He's a big dude.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird on an empty board, but I guess you have 8/8 flying chip.
Yeah, well, you can play the
we'll have to revisit this one.
Really big. Oh, he's huge. Now, as for his command, very small. We've gone the other way.
Very small, very shitty.
Yeah.
Where's the line draw card on this?
Skullcrack. Yes. If this was just Skullcrack and Explore with all the lines of text broken apart,
that would be a good Magic card. Because that's 2 good Magic
cards. Yeah, the Tarkir's command not going to make the cut.
No, I mean it's opponent can't gain life, deal 3 damage to each opponent. So whoa, look out, Skullcrack. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield at instant speed. Ooh.
Well, you put Dryad Arbor into play and block. Ooh. You play Dryad Arbor into play, and then you pump the team.
Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain reach until end of turn. So you have a 2/2
reach Dryad Arbor.
Yes, at instant speed. Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Pretty good.
Let's move on.
Harbinger of the Hunt.
Don't like it.
Really?
Don't like it.
Okay.
If you don't like Pitiless Horde, fuck this guy.
His ability is relevant.
He's this 3 toughness guy for
5. Dragon Lord Dromica. Getting into play.
I want to love it. I really do. But green-white has 0 chance of getting any cards in the queue.
Yeah, I honestly almost like Erishan Sovereign more than I like Dragon Lord Dromica, if that's what the market is for.
Interesting. I mean, that's a conversation worth having. If you have room in your cube for one or the other, I think I like Dromoka better.
This one's very hard to stop.
So is Dramoka.
It's only hard to stop in the sense that like it's going to be in play for one turn at least. This keeps coming back.
I guess.
Like this still doesn't. It doesn't have hexproof. It doesn't have protection. You can still just Hero's Downfall it or whatever.
Right. You can Hero's Downfall or
Yeah, but it comes back. That's what I'm saying.
40 card format, I
Yeah.
guess, slightly. But, like, 5/7 lifelink.
It's big boy.
Yeah.
Big old butt. What do you think about his command?
Prevent all
This is
damage.
getting a lot of. This card gets a lot of talk.
Right. Well, for constructed.
I think just kind of in general, it does a lot of unique things. The fight, the prevent all damage and instant or sorcery. You don't see a lot of that in Cube. It's an efficient enough package where it's kind of like where you're talking about with Kolagon's command, where like you want these effects, but you can't afford to put them in. But putting them in this kind of package makes it it's aggressively costed enough that you can maybe make an argument for it.
I feel like this card is kind of like Hunt the Week most days of the week.
But for 2 mana,
Yeah. I expect that of a rare across 2 colors.
Yeah.
And then it's
you get these like niche upside.
gain 4 life once in a blue moon. I guess it could prevent damage to a creature if they're going to bolt it or something.
Or yeah, they cast anger.
I mean, this card's like maximum cuteness.
I think it's a Hunt the Week for 2 mana that has like these conditional, potentially very good upsides.
Do you mean rage? You said
Like Anger of the Gods.
Oh, anger of the gods. That damage can be prevented.
Yeah. It's not Flame Break.
This card I like.
Yeah. Were there any artifacts? Monuments or slow?
Keep it going. I don't think so.
No.
Oh, we really reached. Oh, sorry.
There we go. The last card.
The last card. There.
Pile for some reason.
Why is
I don't know why it's down here. So Sarkhan Unbroken.
Definitely not broken.
Sarkhan the Reasonable.
Sarkhan the Reasonable. Reasonable indeed. And we have talked at length about this card, and I think it boils down to the greater argument about 3-color Magic cards in Cube. Personally, I could live without them.
I like it. I want more gold. I want the whole cube gold. All gold everything.
I love me a Nicol Bolas. I love me a Cryptic, or not, a Cruel Ultimatum. Sorry, same deck.
Cruel Ultimatum.
And I feel like there's like one other. I mean, like Sphinx of the Steel Wind. I could really live without Sphinx of the Steel Wind.
Here's what
I have a harder time living without.
Here's what this boils down to me. We're currently playing Savage Knuckleblade,
Yes.
and while Savage Knuckleblade is a good card,
Yes.
it doesn't really have a home in Cube.
Because
The decks that involve those colors, or could reasonably cast it, are very rarely decks that want that kind of like efficient beard. Because you're either blue-green ramp, casually splashing red, or your green-red ramp, casually splashing blue, which is both things that happen fairly often. Very rarely are you blue-red, casually splashing green. You see what I'm saying?
it could happen.
It could happen, but those decks don't want. None of those decks. Ramp doesn't want 4/4 for 3. Blue-green ramp doesn't want it because it just passes it by so fast. And this hypothetical blue-red deck doesn't exist. Now, that being said, both the green-red ramp deck and the green-blue ramp deck do want Sarkhan. It's a good effect in both of those decks. So
Again,
it would get drafted more than Savage Knuckleblade.
taking it a step back, 3-color cards in Cube are rarely just like A, B, C of the colors because you can't reliably, even with all the great mana fixing we have and the great percentage of lands to non-lands to make mana fixing possible, you're very rarely, and that's one of the reasons a card like the Doran suffered in Cube was that you would never reliably have it early. Then it's like, okay, what is its impact late? So what Eck is saying that I completely understand is, fuck it, why not make them all planeswalkers, make them all expensive cards, because...
I'm not saying they all have to be expensive cards. I'm just saying you have to look at what the color combinations of each tricolor card, what those decks are looking for. Like, I would argue, possibly an even better card than Sarkhan in green, blue, red for the decks that those colors really get highlighted by, the green, blue ramp, the green, red ramp deck would be Intet. Because they're both looking to go so big.
We brought back Newmont recently.
Both the green blue and the green red ramp decks are ramp based. You very rarely see a green blue beatdown deck or a green red beatdown deck. They're almost always going over the top in some way. You're ramping into Frost Titan, or you're ramping into giant horrible dragon monsters or whatever, or playing Wildfire. This also plays well with Wildfire.
It's fine. I mean, I look at Sarkhan as like he is a split card of Blue Honden, and Dragon Roost, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that split card. It's just really meh. Like I'm really like the add a mana of any color part is going to come up almost never. His ultimate is like stone poop in cube. But it's a fine split card as it is. And to me it's like, okay, well weigh that split card versus like a guy that I think Savage Knuckle Blade is more modal than we're giving him credit for. I think it's really the spirit monger of the day right now, where it's like a 6/6 hasty beater that can be rebought better more often. But again, it's 3 color, so like fuck it, I don't really care. Like let's have the split Honden Dragon Roost guy. So I'm really on the fence about it. I don't think I have strong opinions one way or the other. I do kind of wish that each 3 color combination had a really standout good expensive card.
We're close. I mean,
Naya Charm is the Naya color combination is really like the
surprisingly bad.
Yeah, like no one wants to play fucking Godsire or shit like that. So bringing all of that back together, I have a fairly solid proposed changelog for this particular set. If we could spend the last little bit of the show here, kind of
talking about that.
Yeah, we'll go get our dukes out here. Where I usually go to the Alright, so the proposed Dragons of Tarkir update. We've covered some of this a little bit as we were going, but we'll go a little more in detail here towards the end of the show. We talked at the top about War Priest of Thune becoming Dragon Hunter. I think we both agree that's pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, War Priest is not great.
I love War Priest, but gotta make room for more of those 2 power guys for 8 minutes.
Return to Dust becoming Secure the Waste. Return to Dust is kind of just like the odd man out. It's just not really a thing. It's okay. It very rarely is 2 for 1.
You have blown me out with that card.
I mean, it's gonna happen.
I mean, like,
it's gonna happen.
I almost want to like give you the podium to talk about all the amazing plays you've made with it over the years, because I feel like this card has been in cube since like the beginning.
I mean, pretty much since they printed it, it's been it.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
So we're making more guys. It's all good. It's all better.
Kira, Great Glass Spinner becoming Icefall Regent. This is also a function of, where does Kira really fit? There's not really. I mean, is there really a blue-white like Skies beatdown deck that Kira was really holding together? I don't really think so.
Blue is super tough to get into. You got to remember that up front. So when you cut a blue card, you're definitely like, oh, that hurts. That card's good. I agree with you. Kira definitely the lamest duck of the Windrake family, and doesn't like there aren't blue guys to protect to begin with, and most of them can protect themselves. Icefall Regent, Sphinx, yeah, like all these guys are already doing their own job.
Stinkweed Imp becoming Sidisi.
So we're kind of saying goodbye to a lot of the elements of the
another 3-drop going the way of the Buffalo.
But the graveyard decks are
Black is getting retooled again.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Moving back on the graveyard focus, we're trying something different.
Sidisi,
we've yet to hit a home run with Black. It's mind-bogglingly stupid, but this is the world we live in. Nothing works for Black. Diabolic Servitude becoming Culling the Weak.
Do you care about that at all?
I don't care about Diabolic Servitude.
Good. Then I consider this a win. Because as much as Eck kind of like hates Storm, he's not hating this, and I'm going to take that as a huge win right here.
I don't even remember what Culling the Weak does.
It's the single black sack a guy at 4 black.
Oh my god. That's terrible. Why would you put in Cabal Ritual first?
I can make it. You would prefer Cabal Ritual? I think making 4 black is good, and I think that the Storm decks in Cube are probably going to end up playing more guys. I think results will tell us on that. So, hey, you hate Mana Barbs.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these changes. So the problem, and I'm sure if you have been watching our show or you've been listening, you know that I am not a big fan of Storm. However, this is not technically my cube. I can only provide advising.
I mean,
I don't have the final say on stuff. So
once you start buying cards for it, it's a bit different story. But until then, it's
right.
like I'd rather do this.
Yeah, the Storm thing is Tristan's love child, and his current.
It's not for me. It's for others.
It's his current pet project. It's his current pet project. So almost all the Storm changes are him, not really me. So when cards come in for Storm, I don't like it, but I know I can't stop it. So I've just become defeated and resigned.
Wow. Your input still matters greatly. I just know
it's just ignored consistently.
I know you hate mana barbs. I feel like this
right.
is a win for you.
This is a card where it's a card I don't like being cut for a card I'll never play. So whatever. Shaman of the Great Hunt becoming Irish Shaman. I think this is just a function. Shaman of the Great Hunt's not bad, but it costs 4. That's literally the only reason.
And you can only cut a shaman for a shaman, so thankfully that all worked out.
Right. The law of shamanic conservation has been applied. Spike Shadow becoming Zurgo. Spike Shadow was the most odd man out of the 1-drops. He was just always kind of clunky.
Yeah. We only have 11 equipments anyway.
Felton the Third Path becoming Monastery Swift Spear. Felton, really cool. I never saw it work.
Never. Too slow.
I always wanted it to. Never worked.
Meanwhile, Swift Spear, skirting that line. A little bit of Storm, a little bit of red aggro. Loving
it. Anyway. It's a Storm Enabler in that it's a spell that costs 1 mana.
I know, right? I know.
Widwin becoming Dragonlord Sildengar. Widwin was just too low impact. It was very cute, and
people love it. Zach's going to be pissed when he sees this.
But it just, a 3/3 flyer for 4 just never really felt like it was doing enough. Faraway becoming Limdol's Vault. This is a Storm change. Live Sky Knight becoming Dragonlord Ojtai. Live Sky Knight was kind of like similar to Kira, where there were these kind of very awkward remnants of a blue-white aggressive Skies deck that just doesn't really exist anymore. So they kind of just slowly all have gotten filtered out.
I mean, I would defend Sky Knight being like, there's still a blue-white tempo deck, it's still a good deck, but as we talked about with Ojtai earlier in the show, it's the top end for that deck, and it's also a sweet one in the blue-white controllers.
Yeah. Sire of Insanity becoming Kolaghan's Command. That's kind of a larger shift in terms of card. Like, it's not a strict upgrade, it's it's a lateral movement.
Again, I don't think you put too much, like, you didn't weigh in on, like, what is the Rakdos card you'd most like to see?
Well, let's see.
Oh, this one's actually easier to do from the list. If you go back to the other spreadsheet one.
Because
it's all fucked up on here. Let's go to the spreadsheet. Oh, I meant the spreadsheet.
Oh.
This is the same thing. Oh, well.
Dreadbore, Falconrat, Bit Blast. You know what card I've never seen actually do anything is Granzo.
It does stuff.
Okay. I haven't seen it. So, I mean, I love Bit Blast. I love it. I think
Vid would kill us at our
we would die. This will never see the light of day. But it might be Bit Blast. It's close. The only card that's fully safe, the cards that are fully safe are Dreadbore and Falconwrath Aristocrat to me. Those are the two best. And past that, it's kind of like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Sire of Insanity was fine, but it never like thrilled me. It was never a high pick. It was always like very solid.
We all love a Bit Blast.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we have some lands to help Storm and get rid of some shitty lands.
And there you have it.
The Bazaar of Baghdad experiment is over. We tried it. We tried it real hard.
Rip in peace. I love it still. I would play it right now. But
you still can.
I know. Maybe we'll do it later. So that's the current changelog. Now, obviously, this might change in the future, but that's where we're currently standing.
I fucking hate you, Dryad Arbor. Fucking hate you.
On that note.
Yeah. We'll leave you on the positive. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in this evening. I can't say in what frequency we will be back.
We'll be back for Magic Origin.
So you're loosely telling people we'll be back to broadcast in 3 months.
I mean, I'm realistic.
I don't want to make promises I can't keep. We would try, and as the clock closes in on us, I will say, if you found this, you probably know how to find us, so you probably don't need us to tell you. Young Mecha on Twitter, at Tristan Gregson on Twitter, ekamon.blogspot.com for all of your cube resources.
iTunes, post on Reddit, Cube Tutor. 1141 is our cube number.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah. So
for your compare cube information.
Any questions you got? Any comments? Love to hear it. I try and get back to people as they send stuff in.
We always answer. We never not answer.
Yeah.
Unless you're one retard.
Or you're a Nigerian prince asking for...
Which is yet to happen, for asking for cube advice. I would try to help that guy. But that being said, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, we are out.